the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and was just part of the Gang of Eight briefing on the war with Iran. And Senator, I very much appreciate your time. So I guess let's just start right there with that briefing you received. Did you learn anything in it that would convince you that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States that merited this war?
Well, first of all, Erin, we now have at least 6 dead American casualties, and our prayers are with those families. Our military is executing extraordinarily well. But to your question, I have seen no evidence of any imminent threat to the United States posed by Iran. There were threats towards Israel, although arguably even whether they were imminent. But the idea that we had to act at this moment, at this time, because of a direct imminent threat to the United States, I have seen absolutely no evidence of that.
Just before your briefing, Secretary of State Rubio spoke publicly, and he said something that I want to play for you because it is perhaps a bit confusing, but also stunning. It's a new explanation for why the United States, he said, had to strike Iran when it did. Let me play the Secretary for you.
There absolutely was an imminent threat, and the imminent threat was that we knew that if Iran was attacked, and we believed they would be attacked, that they would immediately come after us. And we were not going to sit there and absorb a blow before we responded, because the Department of War assessed that if we did that, if we waited for them to hit us first after they were attacked, and by someone else, Israel attacked them, they hit us first, and we waited for them to hit us, we would suffer more casualties and more deaths.
So he's saying that the United States says they knew that Israel was going to strike, and that Iran, in response, would retaliate in part against the United States, and so therefore the United States needed to come with Israel and strike first. Does that logic, as he has laid it out, make sense?
Well, does it make sense if we are going to outsource our foreign policy decisions and choices to another government? Listen, I am an extraordinarily strong supporter of Israel, but do I want Bibi Netanyahu making the decision of when and where Israel will strike and then bring Americans into a war? I think that's an issue that needs to be debated. This is Donald Trump's war of choice. The Secretary, I think, has as much acknowledged that. And even with that, we have had now 4 different explanations of what our goals are. First, it was to try to get rid of Iran's nuclear capabilities, which supposedly had been obliterated by the bombing 7 months ago. Then it was to eliminate Iran's missile capability, which would threaten Israel or potentially our bases, but no imminent threat. I heard today questions about sinking Iran's navy, which that's a new one. And then we have this question as well where the president, at least based on his words, has said he wants regime change and has asked the Iranian people to rise up. The question I have is if the Iranian people, and I shed no tears for the death of the Iranian leadership, who have been awful, but if the President of the United States is asking the Iranian people to rise up in the streets, and then the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, who are brutal, murder 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 Iranian protesters, do we have any further moral obligation than to go in to support them with even potentially boots on the ground? This is exactly why we have seen from our history, starting a war in the Middle East may be easy, ending one is always difficult.
You just mentioned boots on the ground, and that is being talked about where I'm standing right now. It is now being talked about in Washington. President Trump and the Defense Secretary both refusing to rule out having actual American troops on the ground in Iran, of course, a country, population 92 million. You know, based on your briefing, Senator, do you think there's real planning going on about this, that this is a real thing that they are considering? American boots, American soldiers on the ground in Iran?
I would pray not. You know, and clearly this president got elected on the basis of no more endless wars in the Middle East. But I sometimes think You know, we know the president says rash things. I don't think he thinks them through. But when the president of the United States calls on the Iranian people to go into the streets and take back their government, and if there's 100,000 protesters and then tens of thousands of them are killed by the Iranians because they responded to the American president's call to action, do we owe a moral obligation? I don't know. I do know this, that you have to be careful with your words if you're president of the United States. And this president is never careful with his words or his threats or his boasts.
Senator, I'll admit, I've interviewed you many times over many years, and, you seem a bit, I guess shaken might be the word. I mean, how do you feel right now when you see what's happening, when you see and hear what you were just briefed on, some of which I know is confidential and classified?
I just think that we didn't have to be here. I spent yesterday down in Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, where 40% of the people I were talking to had sons and daughters and friends that were deployed on the Ford and these other ships where their loved ones are in harm's way and potentially future casualties, because there was acknowledgement today that there will be more casualties. And if I can't answer them, what's our goal? Why is my kid potentially going to be put in harm's way? What is America's overwhelming interest that my son or daughter is going to be in combat and may perish? For what? And I can't give them an answer? Yeah, that is very, very sobering to me.
Well, Senator, I'm grateful for your time. And as you say, the President of the United States has said that the casualty numbers could go up, and meaningfully so. Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you, Erin.